Hello, Internet. It's Jenn T. Grace here, founder of Publish Your Purpose Press, and I am back for tip number 10. So yesterday's tip was tip number 9, which was talk to yourself out loud as a way to generate more ideas, be more creative, and not stress about staring at a blank screen. Today's tip goes a little bit further. Right now, we are in unprecedented times, as everyone will say, and I find that that's giving us more opportunity to be connecting with people that we already know, making new connections, all in this kind of virtual environment. So the tip for today is to have a friend interview you. So just circling back, our goal right now is 1,100 words per day for the next 30 days that equal a 33,000 word manuscript. So for today's tip, it's really having a friend sit down and interview you. You can kind of do this two ways. You can find somebody that knows you really well. They know your story well. They know your expertise. So if you're writing nonfiction, or they really know kind of deep and intimacy around your story if you're writing memoir. Find some time. Get on a Zoom call, use FaceTime, whatever means you need to use. Sit down with a friend and just have them ask you questions. If you have an outline or a table of contents written so far, this is a great thing to kind of have them ask you questions against. So you can totally do it from that standpoint, or you can find somebody that doesn't really know you well at all. So you can kind of do this in both directions. And I usually advise people to have it in both ways, because if you're writing your story, so again, memoir, a little bit of a different animal than nonfiction, but even in nonfiction, you want to be sharing your story because you want to connect with your readers. So if you have somebody that knows you really well, that person is going to be the person chirping on your shoulder over here saying, you know, I know there's more to that story and you're not going deep enough. So you have that benefit. But then you have on the other side someone who's new and doesn't really fully know all of your story. You can have that person asking you questions, and they're going to ask most likely more of the questions that a reader might be interested in, because the friend who knows you well, they know your story, they know your expertise, they know what you do. So they might be asking the really deep questions, which is going to get you deeper into the content you need to write, which is great on one hand. But on the other side, what's really beautiful about having someone who doesn't really know you or your content, they're going to be asking more of the layman's type of questions, the surface level, the high level questions. And I don't say surface level in a derogatory way, but really just the foundation and the basics and the introduction and kind of the premise of what you're writing about. So if you can find two people in your life that can fulfill either of these roles, what you can do is have that conversation recorded, transcribe it, and then put that in your working manuscript document. And then you can start editing and carving away from there. So that is really kind of the crux of today's tip. It doesn't have to be super complicated. Just grab a friend that you know, grab somebody that you're newly acquainted with who's interested in doing this with you. If you can find someone who's also working on a book, the beautiful thing about that is that you can do this and serve this function for one another. So that is today's tip. Go ahead, go find a friend, have them interview you, have that interview transcribed, record it, transcribe it, and get it in your document. And then at least you have the content there, because right now we're in a 30-day writing challenge. The goal is to get massive amounts of content on paper that you can then start to chisel away and make beautiful later, which will be a future tip in this, because we still have 20 more tips to go.